Good morning. Welcome to Shields and Arrows, where we defend the faith, the family, and the fellowship. I am Pastor Mark Baze. It is great to have you with us. I appreciate each and every one of you that care about these matters. You know this show, if you are familiar with it, is dedicated to addressing matters of theology, addressing matters that affect our culture, our society, and our families. And we come from a perspective of theology that's different than many standard shows, maybe different teachings by some pastors, but it's because we hold to rightly dividing the word of truth. I think there's so much confusion today in our churches, in our communities of Bible believers, because we have not realized what God is doing today. I think that we have tried to combine matters concerning Israel and the law and their obligations to keep it and the promise of a future physical kingdom for the nation of Israel. And we have tried to lump all that into the church age that we live in today, and we have created so much bad theology, trying to, on one hand, say you're saved by grace through faith, but also there are these passages that talk about the importance of proving your faith by your works. And what do we do with that? Are we going to somehow try to combine the two and say that James agreed with Paul? And even though James said Abraham was justified by faith and works, or really justified by works was his argument. And then Paul over here saying Abraham justified by faith alone. What are they talking about? Are we going to just ignore these contradictions in the Bible? I think the vast majority of the Christian world has, where I would say we do not ignore them. We tackle those head on. We want to be able to give you good, sound Bible answers. And that is the heart of this ministry and this show, where 9:30 to 10:30 every day, Monday through Friday, except for this week because it's 4th of July, we take the time to tackle these issues and address those matters, as well as looking at politics. And believe it or not, theology does impact politics because it depends on how you view the world and what God's doing today. Are there any promises that your country, the United States, or whatever nation you may live in, can we claim anything regarding Israel's promises? Are we guaranteed a land? Are we guaranteed success, wealth, prosperity? And with all of that in mind, a good frame of doctrine, how should we view politics and the decisions that should be made? How should we conduct ourselves in this time? Should we be putting ourselves back under a law obligation? And how do we operate in the age that we live in? And with that, I hope that that gives you a good understanding, especially if you are new and you're joining us for the first time. I do hope and pray that this ministry continues to find more people, because I do truly believe that teaching the Bible from an understanding of dispensationalism and rightly dividing the word of truth, understanding the mystery revelation given to Paul, will help us be so much stronger in the faith, because it gives us such a good, clear understanding of the Word of God. All right, well, I appreciate all of you jumping on to join us today. It is great to have you all with us. All right, so let's do a little bit of reflection. Now, Mark Baze Ministries, as you know it, has only been around since, well, if you're counting whenever we started live streaming in our YouTube channel and whatnot, really only been around since December. However, the truth is, I have almost reached a year now of pastoring my new church. To a degree, we have been doing this ministry online for, well, nearly 4 years now. I started my first job at Liberty Baptist Chapel was the name of the church, Liberty Baptist Chapel, and that would have been it was actually after the COVID year, so it was 2020. Yes, it was 2020, the later half of 2020, when I started pastoring. Yes, I believe that's right, 2020, 2021. And so with that, yes, it would have been 2020. We've been doing our ministry to a degree for 4 years now. And you can go back on Worshipify and find some very old sermons, very old sources of mine. And then when I was at Liberty, I was working truly bivocationally in the sense of I actually had a contracted as another job. You could say that I've been working bivocationally for all time because I have other obligations and responsibilities that I do and take care of now. But the days of Liberty, I was a high school teacher, I was a coach, and I started the website about 3 years ago, is when maybe 2.5 years ago is when we started the Mark Baze Ministries website. And you can go back and you can find some older sermons and older material that way. Then, when my wife was selected for residency in Durant, Oklahoma, we moved. And I was waiting to see what church was going to hire me and trying to figure out, am I going to be able to get hired or do I need to maybe start my own church? And Blue Baptist Church had just become vacant for a pastor's position. And therefore, I got in contact with them. They had me out. And really, I came and preached my first sermon there a little over a year ago. It took a little bit of time in the process of them forming the committee to vote me in. But in August, the very beginning of August, and actually it was, I believe, the last Sunday of July, they voted me in as their pastor. And so this ministry I've had at this church is coming up on its first year. This is technically the same month in which I was hired in. And I want to reflect back on it a little bit and explain to you what all we've done. I started the email list, which I know I haven't been sending a lot of emails, but that's because most of you are able to keep up with me through our ministry that we're doing now. You're getting so many updates on the daily show and our sermons and our Bible studies, but I do probably need to send an email to some who maybe have forgotten or not kept up with us. But I started the email list around September, and some of you I'm looking at here are some of the very first to get on that list. And I've had you with me from the very get-go, and I've been keeping you updated. And so I want to reflect back on the year that I've had at Blue Baptist Church, what we have accomplished, and then what I want to do in the future. I spent a lot of time yesterday trying to reflect on where I want all this to go, because the original plan was I want to be able to record our Sunday sermons, our Wednesday nights. I want to be able to video those for you, upload them for you, and then a daily show where we can discuss these matters and I can talk to you and you can follow along my ministry a whole lot easier because you just get to hear me and communicate with me every single day, except for Saturday, I suppose. But some of you I even talk to on Saturdays. Now, with that, when we got to Blue Baptist Church, they were an amazing group of people already. I was excited because they were enthusiastic about the style of preaching that I did, because they had heard me preach some 3 or 4 times. And what I wanted to do my first year at Liberty was really spend a lot of time laying the groundwork for a good understanding of the Bible. And we started out on a few one-off sermons, which did not get recorded just because I'm pretty confident that they didn't get recorded. Let me go back to Worshify and I will maybe show you our very first sermon at Liberty. And I can just show you how to get there too. If you go to Worshify and you go down to Mark Baze Ministries right here, you will need to look for our morning sermons. And these are actually, a bunch of these are our old sermons. Like this one, for example, like what is the gospel? This is from our days in, and maybe that one's not actually on there, correct? Maybe there was a mess up on that part. But those are the old days at Liberty. But if you go down here, okay, so they're not on there. That may not even be the earliest sermons that I have for Blue. So let me go back and let me see if I can locate our very first ones. if we go to, well, there is one right there. What is the Proverbs 31 woman? Oh, yes. So this is one right here from Liberty. There's our 2024 Easter sermon. Okay, I think maybe, is this one it? Yes, this is one of the very first sermons that I did, the Bible versus the Big Bang. And we preached this one back on, that was uploaded July 2nd, 2024. That's interesting to me. Or no, that is this year, Tuesday, July 2nd, 2024. I don't know why it has today's date on here, but this was uploaded almost a year ago, and this is one of the first sermons that I preached as the pastor at Liberty, and the point of it was to establish my position on taking the Bible literally, that I'm not somebody who makes the Bible allegorical whenever I shouldn't. Sorry, you can probably hear me talking right there. But with that, that's one of our very first sermons. So I spent the first several Sundays just laying some basic groundwork and addressing how I interpret the Bible, taking it literally, grammatically, historically, contextually. And so those are definitely our lower quality ones. When I started our sermon series, and I'm excited because we have done a bunch of shorter series. Instead of getting, the first year anyways, bogged down into a 20, 30 session series on a different book of the Bible or some very in-depth topic, we spent about 9 to 10 to 11 sessions on a particular series over the course of the year. And I really do think it's gone well. They responded very well to it. So if you go and you look at our actual sermon series, these are Sunday morning. Our first one was the mystery of Christ. I started right off the bat addressing this, the mystery of Christ. And that was an 11-session series. We covered that very early on. And then once we, and this mystery of Christ is, many of you tell me this is your favorite one. Even though our recording quality wasn't very good, both our video quality, because that was done with a cell phone, and also the audio quality wasn't very good, mostly because I didn't know how to run the audio. This first year, I finally learned how to do some things and get it right. So you'll see the quality improve drastically now compared to what it was. Because beforehand, I would have had no idea how to run the stuff that I'm doing right now. I had to learn some things along the way. At my old church in Liberty, I had technology guys and some very, very smart guys who knew how to do things that I had no clue how to do. And now I finally learned how to do it myself. So the early days, this Mystery of Christ series, I hate it because I don't hate the series. I just hate it because it's very, very good content, but the quality of the audio and the video is not very good. But with that, this is our 11-part series on the mystery of Christ. And that went so well, and what it allowed me to do was over the course of basically 2.5 months. So I started this series, I believe, on the, I'm trying to think here. I thought that our video there it is, had the screen up for you. I started this series, I think, towards the midway of August. And in the middle of August, so by the time we got to October, I had been the pastor of that church for basically 3 months, and we had already established rightly dividing the word of truth, the liberty in Christ being in the age of grace, understanding the differences between prophecy and mystery, addressing replacement theology, the rapture. We covered all of that within the first 3 months. And then from there, what we did was we went into getting to know our Bibles, and that was the next series that we did. This was still early on, so our quality's not very good. If you listen to some of the audio there, it's going to be pretty horrendous. But I do believe potentially this was only a 7-part series, maybe. or I think we may, no, shame on me, I think we're even missing the last edition. I need to get that uploaded. I do apologize. But we need to get one more uploaded onto Worshipify. But this is our series on getting to know your Bible. And that was very good. That gave them a good, solid background of the history of translation, the methods of translation, underlying texts, how men have organized the Bible. And let's see here. Did we get our new camera yet? No, that is still just using a cell phone, I believe. So that was our Getting to Know Your Bible series. And from there, let's go back to defining the words of Scripture. Defining the words of Scripture, this was a very important series because we really got into greater detail regarding some important matters of doctrine and theology. We addressed the meaning of saved and the kingdom, the idea of the word gospel and being more than one gospel. And I believe it was somewhere in here that we got our new camera. I don't know which one it was. This may be it right here, though. Yeah, this is our new camera. So right around in here, you were all, oh, I see that now. That Tuesday, July 2nd, I think was talking about Ask the Theologian. But anyways, around in this point, you were so amazing in supporting my ministry that we did get a new camera. Now, that camera that you see being used right there is actually the camera that I'm talking to right now. And what I was having to do for a while was take that camera and move it back and forth and back and forth. But you continue to support my ministry, and now we do have a camera that stays at the church, front and center staged, where we don't have the offset angle, which was a big request by a number of people. Y'all were continuing to ask me, can we have an angle that gives us a better view? Now, I do have to work on it a little bit. It's not quite how I want it set up yet, but we'll get it there eventually. But we did defining the words of Scripture, and I really, not to pat myself on the back or toot my own horn, I really do not know of another, potentially, of another church, other than maybe a couple, and they would all be rightly dividing churches, in which a pastor covered that level of doctrine and touched on so many things over the course of only about 6 months. Because this was about, by the time I wrapped up with defining mystery, we were probably in like March, mid-March, because the triplets were born, a little bit before that. And we had covered so much in really a short amount of time. And I give credit that to my mentors and the church itself being willing to endure with me as we addressed all of those challenging topics. So even though the quality of some of our material, maybe the audio is not as good as what it could have been, we have laid so much groundwork in that first year to where we really have a good foundation and a good basis. And I think that if I wouldn't have handled it correctly, it could have easily taken me 3 years to get to this level of content and depth of understanding compared to what we were able to do in really about 6 months. And so I've really enjoyed it. This first year has gone so well. I'm so excited to be at Blue. I want you to know, if you are somebody who is, I know we have some people in Texas who tell me ever so often, maybe one of these days we'll just have to move a little bit further north to where we can attend your church. This is only the first year here, but I have made it a point to let Blue know, Blue Baptist Church, that I don't plan on going anywhere. I'm looking at the long-term goals, the long-term objectives. I want to invest at Blue Baptist Church and give it my absolute best efforts, because I don't want to go anywhere. I would much rather stay at Blue until I am long in the tooth and gray-headed, because how else can you build a church and develop their understanding of doctrine if you don't invest the time? I am not someone chasing a promotion at some bigger church. I don't want to take a job at First Baptist Big Town, because First Baptist Big Town is not going to let me teach the Bible. They're not going to receive the depth of content and addressing the tough issues like Blue Baptist Church has allowed me. I feel bad for Liberty because they got me in my first couple years as being a pastor, and I was so inexperienced, and I taught them decent doctrine because I was rightly dividing back then. I just didn't know how to present it in a good way, and I spent way too much time on a Sunday morning going through the Gospel of Matthew verse by verse. I would have been so much better off going and approaching it from this format. But I want to give you some encouragement because I do truly plan on being there for a very long time, as long as they'll put up with me. And so I'm hoping that what we can do here at Blue Baptist Church is be a staple of the right dividing churches. I know whenever you think of them, you'll think of some churches you'll think of one in New Mexico, in Taos. You'll think of some that are back towards the east, and there are great churches over there. I want Blue Baptist to be on the map, and for you to be able to say, if I want to live in the middle of the state and I want to live in Oklahoma, I can go, and I know that there's going to be a rightly dividing church there that's going to be teaching good, sound Bible doctrine. And it's a small church, and it's one of those things that for me it's a unique position, the way that my life is right now, with my wife in medical school, and I manage the ranch for my father-in-law. It's not a big operation, but it's enough to keep me busy. There's a lot of work I'm going to have to get to very soon. I've got a lot that I'm going to have to start doing on the tractor. Finding time to get all that done is tricky. But what it allows me to do is right now, thankfully, we don't have a whole lot of extra cost other than having children. And it gives me an advantage where many men at my position wouldn't, to where I can devote a lot of time to the church, not as much as I want, but a lot of time to this church, and have somewhat low operating costs. I'm not requiring a lot of them, so it allows them to have a pastor who works to a degree to a full time for them, while at the same time I'm able to do other things as well. And I think what that's going to do is allow us to build the church. I'm not talking about building out of the desire for church growth for the sake of church growth, but what I mean is, as we show and prove ourselves to be a steady, reliable location for people to come to hear good, sound Bible teaching, we are going to have a congregation made up of not only those that were there in the beginning and who have traveled along with me, but I do expect, I think that there's going to come a day when we have people moving to Southeast Oklahoma for the purpose of being at this church. And when that happens, I'm not saying that I'm going to turn Blue into some mega church or even what we would call a large church. But I think that what we will have is we are going to have a backbone of faithful members who are passionate about good Bible study, and they're going to be supporting the church, and it'll be really an amazing thing. And I'm excited. It's one of those matters of not looking right at the here and now, but looking down the road in the years ahead. And so we've done that. We have then started on our Wednesday nights, recording our Wednesday night series. So we have the book of Philippians verse by verse. I've got to get more of those uploaded and sent to you. It's just difficult because I can't live stream it. It's always so much easier just to press, go live on the switcher, and here we are like I'm doing right now. But we have Philippians going. We have Defending the Faith. Obviously, that's an exciting one. That's not that's not in the church, but it's a different type of content where we get to do some fun stuff with you. We then have our Misapplied series, which I got to figure out why my pictures aren't showing up right on there. But our Misapplied series, that's what we're doing right now, which is a really good opportunity for us to address some of the doctrine derived from Bible stories. And then Jonah verse by verse, which is our Sunday school series that we just finished up, which I will get all those uploaded and sent to you soon, hopefully. And with that, we're just going to continue to try to be consistent in that, providing good quality content. So that's what we have done so far in this first year of being at Blue Baptist Church. And we're not quite through a full year yet of Mark Baze Ministries as you know it today, and we'll reflect on it then. But I think that Blue has been such a great church for me to be at, because what I had a situation in which there were people who were excited about what we were doing. They took a great interest in approaching the Bible from a position that is rare in today's time, to be able to address the hard questions. I just got done preaching on the Book of Life this past Sunday, and I had so many people give me a positive feedback because they appreciated the fact that we were tackling tough and challenging issues. And I can't thank them enough for being willing to endure with me and give me the opportunity to discuss all that. And so I appreciate each and every one of you very much for that. All right, now let's we're going to circle back around at the end of the show, and we're going to talk about the future of Mark Baze Ministries and our ministry at Blue. I kind of alluded to it a little bit, some long-term goals, but we're going to talk a little bit more about some things that I want to get done, because I've spent a lot of time thinking about what I want to do, what I want to accomplish. But right now, let's talk about a very serious issue, and that issue is that our communities are not safe. We have to understand that. I don't care where you live. There was a point in time in which you could say, oh, I lived in such and such town, and it's a safe town, and we don't have to worry about these problems. All those problems take place a few hours away in the big city. It's not that way anymore. And it is due to the fact that we have had a president for the last 3 years, nearly 4, allowing people to pour over the border, and we have no idea who these people are. Here's another article for you. Once again, Daily Wire here. Illegal immigrant who re-entered U.S. after deportation, charged with sexual assault of 14-year-old girl. And this took place not in the border, not in one of those border towns of Texas or Arizona. No, this is Florida, Okaloosa County. At least that's probably how you would say it in Oklahoma. And once again, this is in Florida. This is not on the border. These people have been traveling all over the country. Okay? They are not just staying at the border. That's what's so amusing to me. The Democratic Party, they always thought, well, they'll just flood over into the little border towns and they'll make sure that Arizona is a purple state. Because they're going to vote for the free handouts that we're going to give them. They're going to help turn Texas into a purple state because they're going to vote for us and the handouts that we're going to give them. They're going to, keep California a purple state. And then maybe they'll move northward a little bit. Hey, maybe they'll go into Oklahoma, turn Oklahoma into a purple state, which many of them are. They're taking handouts as well. But you have to realize they have spread out so much through the entirety of the United States. I don't care if you live in the most boring little suburban town in Midwestern Oklahoma or Midwestern United States. You are not safe. There is no guarantee that these criminals who have been coming across the border from these countries, it's not mothers and fathers and their little children going across the border. This is a 37-year-old man from El Salvador. And they are not here with good intentions. They are here with the worst of motives. They are killing people, they're assaulting people, and they are smuggling drugs and human beings across the border. You have to understand that the community that you once lived in no longer exists. You cannot assume it. And it may be safe 99 times out of 100, but there is now all the more that likelihood of that one time out of 100. I have had to start talking to my wife continually about her being so cautious when she goes out to town. I haven't been as good about this lately, but I need to make sure that I am the one putting gas in her car and that she doesn't have to do it. Right now, schedule's been kind of crazy, but that's the level that we've gone to, that ideally she never stops for gas. Never, not once. Men, I would encourage you that if you can at all cost, make sure that your wives are not having to put gas in their car. You are the one doing that. Even if you have to make a special trip in the afternoon and it's out of your way, this is what you have to consider, because the threat could be anywhere. And these towns, they are all the more being filled up with these people, and you've got to be ready. You need to make sure that you don't go to town unless it's necessary. You need to make sure that when you do go to town, you do as much as you can while you're there, so you make sure that you don't have to go back again. If you live in a suburb community, just realize that they could be there. If you live in a housing addition, they could be there. And you need to be ready at all times. If you do not have a home defense gun, you need to have one. You need to get one. If you do not carry on a regular basis, you need to have one. You need to make sure that you are prepared. And if you have small children, all the more reason for you to be so extremely cautious, okay? The days of leaving your younger kids, in the vehicle when you run into the store, it's all the more becoming something you cannot risk, that you cannot do. And so with that, we've had so many people. We had Laken Riley, the Georgia nursing student who was killed by an illegal alien from Venezuela. The list goes on and on. There was a 12-year-old murdered, Jocelyn Nungary in Houston, and she was killed by a 21 and 26-year-old. Those were illegal aliens as well. The reality is this is going to continue to be a problem. Your communities are not safe. We do not live in Mayberry anymore. We do not live in the quiet towns that we once had. And it's all because there are certain people that would rather destroy our society and destroy the safety in our communities in order so they can get a few more votes, because winning an election is the only thing that matters. And they will upend any law and order. They will upend any constitutional norms. They will change any of the rules. They will game the system any way that they possibly can to ensure that they hold on to power, and they don't care how many little girls are assaulted and die. Ends are justified. Horrendous, wicked. Be talking to them smart and making those good decisions. I do see some commentary here, and I do apologize because, once again, it looks like we're struggling a little bit. We've cut off. But with that, though, I do see I'm going to get the Book of Life uploaded. I'm probably going to try to upload it maybe this afternoon. Maybe once we get off right here, I'll go ahead and make a stream for it to be uploaded for you. And we'll get that running for you very quickly. But with that, while I'm going to continue to talk here, we'll see if this will work or if it doesn't shut down on me entirely. But Yes, I need to get the Book of Life sermon uploaded for you. I need to do that. Yesterday was just a very busy day trying to get a little bit of stuff done, a little bit of things accomplished before we went. I tell you what, though, I may just go ahead and potentially I could pause this live stream and start another one because it's seeming like it is not wanting to reconnect at all. It's always difficult because let me talk to you for a minute and so you can understand. And if you hear any of this, that's great. And if not, then it's don't worry about it. But I do record all these. That way I can upload them if I need to, but it's always just such a pain because my internet is so slow to upload, which is partly part of the problem why sometimes maybe things don't run like they should. But it does appear like we are back now and everything has reconnected. And so with that, maybe we're going to be back up and running and everything's going to be working just fine now. And so with that, just please exercise caution. Now, there is one other matter of news that I was going to get to today. And I'm just going to tell you that I don't really know much detail, which is why I haven't spoken to it, okay? So let me get this pulled up, at least to have a little bit of discussion on the matter. And once again, this comes from the Daily Wire. The Supreme Court issued a ruling on Monday that Donald Trump's claim of presidential immunity to shield himself from federal prosecution is valid for official acts, but not for unofficial conduct, in a partial victory for the former president. The justices voted 6-3 along ideological lines in the decision and sent the case in which Trump pleaded not guilty to charges accusing him of unlawfully plotting to overturn the results of the 2020 election back to a lower district court for further review. This right here, I'm going to tell you that I'm not well informed on all of the intricate details of this ruling. I don't know the legalities of it, the technicalities of it. What I do want to say is concerning this matter of official versus unofficial acts. There is nothing, and this is one of the big claims by the Democratic Party, is there is nothing that I have seen in Trump's acts where he did anything outside of the law in effort to overturn the election. I think that is one of the biggest I would guess I'll use the word hoaxes by the Democratic Party and those that are targeting Trump, is to claim that he did anything illegal. Now, Trump made a lot of claims. He claimed that there was clear evidence they were going to present in court, and they tried multiple courts to make their case. There's no crime, though, in making a claim, believing that you have a case, trying it in court, and then failing. To my understanding, I'm not a legal expert. I'm not a lawyer nor the son of a lawyer. Lawyer, maybe. What's the fancier word to say it? Lawyer? Anyways, I am from Oklahoma, and there's a lot of different ways to pronounce stuff. Some people say route, some say root. But what crime did he actually commit in attempting to overturn the election? Trump believed that he had a legal right, and he was justified in having the vice president not approve of the election by the Electoral College, correct? It was only a belief, but what happened that day? He still allowed the vice president to vote to certify the election, and he left office when he was required. It would seem to me that everything he did fell within the bounds of what was legal, and therefore he absolutely would have immunity on this matter. And when it comes to Georgia, Trump believed that there was an issue with the counting of the ballots. Many people still think that. So I'm not going to go into details on this because I'm not an expert on the matter, and I don't want to speak to things that I don't have really any authority on. But this is a good thing, I would say, because it does align with what we understand exactly happened. It wasn't as if Trump was threatening the National Guard to march them on the Capitol building to act as his army to keep him in power. So, therefore, this issue of Trump being granted immunity, obviously the left is going to be decrying it and acting as if this is some terrible thing. The more I read it, the more I think that it's a good decision. At first, when I heard it that he had immunity, I didn't know what the scope of it was. And maybe it's going to be used to try to work around some corrupt dealings that presidents have done. But I do not see anything that Trump did in the way he conducted himself, in the actions that he did, that were actually illegal. Now, maybe some of the way that he talked, people didn't like, but we all were there. You were there on the night of 2020. And maybe I need to be careful because YouTube may not like what I have to say on this thing. So you can always go over to Worshipify and you can watch there because we live stream there as well. You were there. You watched how Florida went to Trump. Florida had been the bellwether state for years. For years. As went Florida, so went the country. Trump wins Florida. Trump's ahead in Georgia. Trump's doing well in Arizona. There were things that happened and took place that nobody had seen before. Now, you can say, well, it's because all the mail-in ballots were voted last, so it gave this mirage as if there was this big Republican movement. But why did so many counties, even, that were bellwether counties, that time and time again would be the deciding factor, that as that county went, so would go the presidency? Why did everything get flipped on its head that year? For you to have questions is completely justified. They've been pretending now for the past 4 years that any questions you have about the 2020 election is unjustified and absurd. Nothing could be further from the truth. You are absolutely justified in having some questions about the events that took place that night. Trump had a lot of questions, and he did his best, as he thought, to challenge what he believed was a rigged election. It is not a crime to believe something is rigged and then do your best to try to make your case. And then the court makes the decisions that no, in fact, you don't have a case to be made, whether that's justified or not. What did he do that was illegal in that conduct? So I think it's a good thing. I don't know the scope as far as how they're going to allow other future presidents to get off on things. For example, there's many people that would say that Biden is more justifiably a felon than Donald Trump. And what conduct does he have that would be official versus unofficial? It does make you wonder what potentially this could result in regarding the handling of presidents' actions in future years, future decades, future terms. But I'm not going to speak much more to it other than that because I don't have I really do not have an opinion on it that is given much credibility. So those are just my thoughts in the moment as I'm thinking. Maybe you can give me some of your insight and maybe your thoughts on the matter as well. Okay, so there is that matter concerning the Trump's immunity. We're going to see what that does for him regarding his trials. Most likely none of those are going to come to fruition prior to the election. The only thing that we're waiting to see is Trump's sentencing for the New York case. That'll be the only thing that's interesting to follow there, and possibly could have some kind of sway on the election, even though it's increasingly looking all the more like Biden is in desperation mode right now, as he should be. Okay, so there's our politics, there's our culture stuff for today. Now, let's finish the show. We've got a few minutes left. I'm going to give you some of my future plans for this year, or for the next year's ministry. What do I want to accomplish at Blue Baptist Church? We're going to continue to follow the format right now of our 10-ish part series on different matters. The next series that I'm planning, and I don't have a term for it yet, but we're going to be looking at phrases that are commonly used in churches. Words, phrases such as kingdom work, phrases such as maybe head knowledge versus heart knowledge. There are phrases that are commonly used in churches today, and I think there's a lot of confused evangelicalism built into those phrases. We're going to tackle all of that, and we're going to do that at the end of this sermon series, Misapplied, Questioning Doctrine Derived from Bible Stories. This series, we've just done our 5th one, which is the Book of Life. I believe we've probably got about 5 more that I really want to touch on. And if I have any others, I may add them on as extra, maybe as bonus. But we're probably going to do a 10-part series here. Then that'll get us through the summertime for the most part. We'll be through the month of July. We'll be partway into August, and about halfway through August, we'll start another new series. And that'll basically be about 4 10-part series, give or take a little bit. In a year, and I think that's pretty good content. Having 4 different major series in a year, we'll follow that pattern for a while, maybe until we get to the point where it's time to potentially jump into a Sunday morning session in which we really get into a book, or maybe we get into a character study, characters and person in the Bible. Now, I hate to use the word character because it almost sounds like it's fictitious, but the Bible's historical account. So we'll do a person study, if you will. So I won't use the word character, I guess. But that'll be the plan right now. Wednesday nights are going to continue to be dedicated to verse-by-verse study once we get done with Philippians, which we're going to be in Philippians for a while, but we'll get out of Philippians, we'll go into another one. Our Sunday school, we'll probably keep it verse-by-verse as well for a little while. We just got done with Jonah. I'm going to find another book that we're going to study. Not quite sure which one that'll be yet, whether it's going to be a New Testament book or an Old Testament book, but we're going to tackle that. And then from there, we're just going to mostly focus on, here is the heart of it, we're going to be focusing on good quality content. I want to make sure that Shields and Arrows is a good quality show for you, that we cover things that are relevant to you, things that you're interested in. I obviously always do take your recommendations. Sometimes I'm able to get those entered into the show. Sometimes I'm not. But if you have things that you want to see me discuss, you can always submit that to me. And I will do my very best to incorporate it if I feel like I can speak to it. There are times when some of you send me things because you are very well informed and you're very knowledgeable, and I feel like it's at a depth that I don't know. So I don't want to get up here and start talking about something that I'm not entirely well informed on. I want to be good about that. I may fall into that trap sometimes of talking about things that I don't truly know, but I try to avoid that the best I can, and hopefully I do. So with that, good quality content is going to be a must. I want to have internet at the church that is going to allow for live streaming, so you can follow us on Sunday mornings as we are actually doing our service. I want you to be able to follow me on Wednesday nights. We will eventually start doing Sunday nights, but I'm in the middle of a series right now, and I'm just not wanting to jump into it for you to be in the middle of it and watching it, because I have other material for you. I do think the email list is a good thing. The matter is I don't want to send out an email unless you really need one, because I know you get a ton of emails already. So I just try to use it sparingly. Here lately, I mean, you've already provided so much for me. We've got camera equipment. We've got the switcher board that I need right now. As far as the equipment that we need, there's a few little luxury items that I could probably pick up and eventually I may get. But you have already done so much for me, and we're doing so good right now that I'm really am in a good place. My biggest concern is providing good quality content to you. That's what I'm wanting to do. And then from there, if you want to continue to show me how well I'm doing by supporting the ministry, you absolutely can do that, and I'll appreciate it every bit along the way. Now, here is a thing that I'm working on. Here's something that I am trying to put together in my mind. A couple things. Number one, I want to do a spring Bible conference. And I'm trying to figure out the date, but it is going to be a spring Bible conference that is at the church, at Blue. I did 2 Bible conferences this year. I did one at Clayton Avenue Baptist Church in Hugo, Oklahoma, and I did one at Sobel, First Baptist Sobel, Oklahoma. And I recorded both of those. Those are all available for you to watch. What I'm looking at doing, though, is a longer format and doing one that's more of a potentially having a fellowship, like a Friday evening, having everybody come and get to meet each other and talk to each other, and then do something like an all-day Saturday conference, and then doing something like a Sunday morning just church service, and then a fellowship afterwards. So I'm looking at doing something like that. Fellowship Friday night, teach all day Saturday, have a sermon that follows it up on Sunday, and I may change that format a little bit. Maybe we'd do all day Friday, all day Saturday. But what I'm looking at doing is trying to put that in the works, and as soon as I have a plan together, I'll give you an announcement. I've never really tried to tackle something like this before, really hosting one. I did host one at Liberty, but it was with another person teaching. But I am looking at hosting one. I don't know all the details of it, exactly what I want it to be like, but I want to do that for you because I know there's many of you that have shown interest in wanting to come to the church and meet in person, but I know it's a long drive. The good thing about being in Oklahoma is it's about a 10-hour drive for everyone, give or take a little bit. I know we have somebody who's out in Oregon or Washington. That's a long drive. But there is DFW. If you really wanted to, you could fly in. But I want to give an opportunity for you to come and make it worth your while. I know we have some, like the people from Texas, they'll come and drive in on a Sunday morning. But I wanted to give you an opportunity to come, to stay. There's a number of options. There's hotels in Durant. There's hotels even like in Sherman, Texas, if you wanted to stay there. You can... there's an RV park right down the road, so if you are an RVer and you have a camper and you'd like to bring it, you can stay at an RV park that's just a few miles away. And so there will be options for you, but that is a big one that I'm planning. It's going to be, a little over a year from now, but I'm trying to get it put together in my mind as far as the content I want to cover, the format that I want it to be. And so I'll be keeping you updated on that, but be looking out. I know that there's a couple big conferences that take place in the fall. Dr. White's getting ready for his Labor Day conference. He's getting ready for his Taos Prophecy conference. So you have 2 major ones in the fall. I would love to give you a springtime option as well. So you can take advantage of that, and you can maybe make it out, and I'm excited for that. Another thing that I am looking at doing is eventually getting a new studio set up. Right now, this one it's just a curtain hanging in the background, and I'd like to get a little bit better of a background for you to make this look a little bit more professional. I do feel like presentation is a big deal, so I'll be looking to improve just some of the quality of those things. But right now, I'm a younger man. I have a family. I've got very young children right now, and so the flexibility that I have is somewhat limited, but I'm going to try to do the very best with what I have and make sure that we continue to give you another source. I think it's encouraging to watch the number grow, that what started out with maybe just a handful or maybe one has now built into, you can find somebody who is a good, sound, right dividing teacher in almost every time zone. I think every time zone now. We've already had some on the East Coast. We've had some that are in Mountain Time. We've got some that are on the West Coast, and we have Central Time as well. So what a great benefit that is. And I think that Blue is enthusiastic. I think they're excited about what we have going on here. I get very great support from everyone. I get very good feedback from everyone. And I am just excited for what the future has in store. And I hope that you are too. Let's see here. Look a little bit of your comments here. Some of your thoughts on all this. Kristen says, you agree that it's a little bit concerning that they all get immunity, but this case shouldn't have ever gotten that far. Yeah, it's one of those things that this ruling almost came out of a necessity because the political establishment wanted to push the matter so far. Alan, good morning. Great to have you. Alan, I know it'd be a long drive for you, but maybe you should try to make it out sometime. I think you would enjoy it. What you should do, Alan, is make it a right division road trip. So what you do is travel to Taos for the first Sunday and meet Dr. White in person, and then drive out to Oklahoma and you can see us. That's what you need to do. Kristen on today. Kristen's one of those that has a member of our church, and she's awesome. She supports me in so many ways, and helping out with our VBS. They're great people. I'm so thankful for them. And then we also have Dr. Kitty Campbell on today. She's another great member of our church. They're all just second to none. I'm so thankful for them. And she has such an amazing background. I'm going to tell on you a little bit, Dr. Campbell. She came from a Catholic background, and it's amazing to me. I'm always so encouraged because she is able to understand why the Catholic theology made their mistakes, because she can see when you rightly divide the Bible how it answers the questions and the issues that Catholic theology was derived from. And so it's so encouraging to me because she is growing leaps and bounds in her good understanding of the Bible, and that's just so exciting for me to get to witness. Chuck says that you ran across a video of when you visited Liberty when I was there. Your mother played the piano. I completely forgot that she did play the piano, and that I knew she played the piano, but I forgot she played it at the church that time. That's so neat. His mother's a great lady. I got to see her a couple years ago whenever I went out there to do a little bit of hunting and didn't find anything. Nancy, you better keep it on your list, okay? That spring Bible conference. I would love to have you out. Ken said Oklahoma's greatest tiny church. Yeah, I guess I'll settle for it. I know there's already a church that's claimed America's greatest tiny church. What I say is we're America's greatest small church because we're bigger than them. Yeah, Kristen says you agree that our gas stations seem like the worst places. Yep. It's a serious problem. Serious problem. Ken says stay at Choctaw. Hey, I wasn't going to say it, but you can. You could go to the Bible conference by day, and then you could go to the casino by night. Yeah, Nancy, he said please don't schedule it during tornado season. It is difficult because springtime can be a bad time for tornadoes. It's always so hit and miss. There are times when it's in the spring that it's worse. Sometimes it's like more the summertime. Like our worst weather yet down here has really been more so in June, not something early. Normally March, if we did an early spring, like in March, that's normally not the bad time of the year because you're not having as much hot air come in yet to where you get all of that. So we could do it in March, maybe early April. But it does seem it's more often, though, more so like May and June is when things will start to spin up. And believe it or not, the fall is not the best of time either for Oklahoma, because you can have tornadoes all the way into the fall. You absolutely can. But I'll keep you updated on that. I'll maybe put out a poll even, and I'll ask you like what you would prefer for your the format of the conference. If you would like a 2 full day or something. The great thing about Labor Day weekend that Dr. White does is he has Mondays off. He has Mondays off for you, so you can stay for a half day on Monday is what I meant, because he teaches all day Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday. And so I'm excited about it. I'll give you plenty of notice, and it'll be a really fun opportunity, I think. But okay, that's about all I have for you today. Tomorrow we'll be back with some more. I'll remind you on Thursday. Thursday's the 4th of July. I'll be taking off, and I won't be doing a show Friday either because we're still going to be with family. Here's what I'll tell you. If you have a theology question, submit it to me, and I'll answer it tomorrow. So I'll have content ready to discuss tomorrow, but if you do want a theology question answered, tomorrow will be the day to do it, okay? So we could do a special, what about this Wednesday? I don't know, but we'll answer your theology questions. And so I appreciate each and every one of you for being here. It's been so fun. I've met so many amazing people, and it encourages me that there's other people across the state, across the country, who care about these matters, who will continue to stand for good Bible teaching. And I appreciate you. You can always go to my website to find sermons. I got to get that updated for you. I'll get our sermon on the Book of Life uploaded very soon. And with that, I don't have anything else for you. Other than be sure to go watch Ask the Theologian and tell him that Mark Baze sent you. And also tell him that you like it whenever I host the show, because I'm funny and entertaining, and I have hair. All right, so with that, thank you all so much. We will see you tomorrow. This has been Shields and Arrows, where we defend the faith, the family, and the fellowship. I am Pastor Mark Baze, and thank you. This has been a lot of fun. I was really cautious at first to try to take on this idea of ministry and online videos and streaming, but you have made it all worth it, because it's encouraging to me to see that you enjoy it and you appreciate what we're doing around here. So thank you. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care. I appreciate each and every one of you for being here. It's been so fun. I've met so many amazing people, and it encourages me that there's other people across the state, across the country, who care about these matters, who will continue to stand for good Bible teaching. And I appreciate you. You can always go to my website to find sermons. I got to get that updated for you. I'll get our sermon on the Book of Life uploaded very soon.